I hope you're having a good start of your week. My thought today is on not being afraid of the dark. A lot of people are afraid of the dark, afraid of what the dark signifies, afraid of what can come out of the dark, creepy crawly things, things that seem to stay hidden until they scurry back to wherever once the light comes. We all have a dark side. Some of us choose to hide that. Maybe we don't feel so pretty with that dark side. The things that we're private about. The things maybe we're ashamed of. The things that we maybe keep hidden from other people because we're afraid we won't be accepted or liked or whatever. But it takes both the light and the dark to totally make us completely whole. We don't need to be afraid of the dark. The dark side isn't really necessarily so dark. It can be, but the dark side is about the flip side of the things in us that we need to sometimes work on pruning to becoming our best. In other words, we can't just always be about the light. We can't always just be about one side of the coin. We have to look at the whole circumference of what makes us up. The things that maybe we're not necessarily grandiose about showing. The things that are hurts or fears. The things that we stuff. The things about our very character that we don't want other people to know about. But bottom line, we need to be honest with ourselves and not be afraid of the dark, but want to improve upon it. If there's something inside of you that maybe you're afraid is just that you maybe try to stuff, or that you feel like is too big for you, know that God is always with you. Know that you are also, growing and learning and being your best by also having both sides of you, the light and the dark. Of course, we should always go to the light, but we also need to know that our shadow side is important. Just because it's a shadow side doesn't mean that we don't need to nurture those thoughts, those characteristics about us that maybe we even got as a child that have made us who we are. Those experiences along the way that maybe have made us sometimes gravitate more to the dark. Maybe you want to hide things. Maybe we don't want to expose things. Maybe we're private. But you know what? God made the dark too. And the dark, you can't have just the light in life. You need to know that things are not going to be scary in the dark. You need to get comfortable and balanced and feel safe within in that dark side of you. Everything in darkness is not a bad thing. And of course we do see more things in the light, but even then a lot of things aren't shown and are below the surface that people consider as a dark side, which really necessarily aren't. Again, it takes both sides, and you need to empower yourself with both sides of who you are. Know that your values can't be bought. Know that the character that makes up you and the person you are standing for, to becoming your best. It's a yin and a yang. It takes all of that to make us who we are, to own our fears, to work on our sadnesses, to be more centered, to find our balance, which comes from both sides, not just gravitating to the light. Unless we look at the darkness and be comfortable in the darkness and know that there are peaceful things in the darkness as well, we're only fooling ourselves. That's the beauty of it too, is learning to love all sides of you. The things that maybe you feel are dark or in the dark side, that that maybe that's your inner child. Maybe they're things that that you protect and hold dear. But bottom line, don't be afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid of both sides of you. If there, just as much as there are things that are in the light that we might not like, there are things in the dark as well. But we need to grasp and own every part of us and try to understand it, and so that we can work on it and become the better version of ourselves. You know, there's also good things that come out of the dark. There's the moon that comes out of the dark. The moon shines light down on the darkness. You know, we've got so many things to be grateful for, not just in the waking hours of 10, 12, 14-hour days, but also in darkness, you know, allows us to sleep, allows us to get centered, allows us to relax and have maybe even dreams to expand upon when we do wake. So don't be afraid of the dark side of you. Don't be afraid of thinking, oh my gosh, you know, if anybody really knew this about me, you know, they wouldn't like me. Don't care, you know, really the saying is, it's really none of our business what anybody thinks of us. We have to get comfortable and get right and real with ourselves. We have to take our shortcomings, we have to take our concerns, our fears, and even ask for growth to the man above. And so, as opposed to thinking that, oh, you know, my dark side, nobody's going to like me, or I'm just going to, you know, present this persona of I'm all about light and great and bigger and better and, you know, sunshiny and all that. Don't be giving the misperception that the darkness is bad. You know, the darkness also makes up you, and there's a lot of positivity in knowing the things that are in the dark about us that we need to get right and real with. It doesn't necessarily mean everybody needs to know about all your dark side, but it's important that we own ourselves, we rectify and always evolve into becoming a better version of us. And if we're always just, you know, candy coating, okay, well, I'm all this and that and whatever in the light and the greatness about me, then we're only looking at half of the equation. We have to look at all sides of ourselves. We have to be honest. We have to know that those experiences that we may think that have hurt us, and even that seem to come from a dark place, that there is something to be redeemed from those experiences. And remember, the dark is not always a bad thing. The dark is another side of you. You always have a shadow. A shadow is a part of you as well. It's a full circle deal. So gravitate to that. You know, gravitate to, that's all part of you. There's nothing creepy, scary, whatever about you. Yes, there's things to work on, whether they're in the light and expanding and showing that side of you, or even within your own self of getting comfortable with who you are, maybe through meditation and time alone, or, you know, whatever, to get right and real with all sides of yourself, which also includes the dark side. So anyway, live, love, be. Keep looking up. Be proud of who you are. You don't have to impress anybody. You just have to stay right with yourself. Do your best. You're not in competition with anybody else. Keep looking up. Ask for direction and clarity. Have a great day. Talk at you later.